Hello everyone and welcome to another Ratio1 Talks. My name is Mihai and today we have Andrei, Petrica and Vitalii. Hey guys,
Hello
So
there.
the usual suspects.
the usual suspects, exactly. We have a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to jump right in, and actually I will be answering a question from Andrei. You asked me last time, is it the first subject out of 100 episodes on the topic of misconceptions on decentralization? The answer is yes, because we have a lot to talk about. We have more questions and more things to branch out to. So let's jump right in. We also have 4 questions. So yeah, we'll get to that very, very soon. First one. Vulnerability to attacks. Decentralized net, that is the main subject for now. How well can it defend itself, and what kind of safeguards are there for decentralized networks? Because people might think that once somebody actually gets in, manages to make an account and gets there, maybe they can attack the network somehow. So how do we reply to this one?
Yeah, I think this is a very good example of where the decentralized networks excel. So in a centralized environment, when somebody manages to obtain access through a major attack vector and gets access to centralized resources, basically it pretty much can get access to your whole system, to your whole deployed system. So when they get if they get access to your Kubernetes cluster, you are pretty much fracked, as they say in Battlestar Galactica. I think they don't have the F word, as far as I remember. So if somebody gets access to one of your nodes, that'd be very similar to one of your, let's say, machines in your Kubernetes cluster in a centralized environment. They only see and they only can access a very small part of your ecosystem, because your ecosystem runs on multiple nodes on multiple sites and so on. And basically, you can easily cut off that limb from your big organism, big decentralized organism. Yeah. If you cut, if that person, that cracker, that criminal, cyber criminal, access the centralized, it's a little bit more complicated to cut it off and to cut off the link, because the system is centralized itself, and usually if it gets access to a master node, to a control plane node, you are pretty much done.
It's like a domino effect, if you want. If you manage to touch a bit of your infrastructure, you get it mitigated towards all of the parts.
But that is in the case in which somebody external manages to grab hold of you, the user, your setup, your element
Infrastructure.
to infrastructure. Exactly, that's the word. But not from within the network. The network itself is all just all of it is secured by each other. There is some sort of safeguards, as well as
there is no, the concept of the network itself in terms of decentralization. It's not, there is no network as an entity. When you're talking about your local network, if somebody gets into your local network at home or at office, if they get into the local network, it's a high probability that they'll access pretty much everything you have there, right? And it's the same with centralized infrastructure. If somebody gets into your VPN or gets into your centralized cluster or gets access to your, God forbid, your Kubernetes control plane, then you are pretty much done. In decentralized system, the idea of the network itself being a totally heterogeneous environment does not fit the same picture as the idea of your local network or your centralized network or your company network. It's not the same. It's not the same concept. It's basically like different networks that are connected each other through trustless communication, and they are totally separated. So if somebody attacks and gets hold of the node or a couple of nodes, whatever, it doesn't mean it can affect the rest of the network. Okay, yes, it will affect those those nodes. Yes, it can affect, but your system runs on many sites in many nodes that are independent. They can work by themselves. They can cut off. It's like an organism where you have to cut off, let's say, 50% of the limbs in order for that organism to be taken over.
To stand a chance, because even with 50%, you get a chance to get caught in decentralized ecosystems.
Yeah, you get caught after you cut off the first couple of limbs. But let's say that, in centralized environments, you don't need to cut off 50% of the limbs. You don't need to access. You need just one of 100. If one of 100 is, elements of the, like I said, of a Kubernetes control plane, it gets compromised, then you pretty much have access to most of the things that happen there. In our case, you have to get control of more than 50% of the network in order to compromise the network.
So
And
there is more
bigger
security in it. There
Yes.
is automatically more security
Yeah.
in a decentralized.
Different tens of different and soon hundreds of operators, hundreds and thousands of nodes, tens of countries and regions. We're talking about things that are basically, at least in practical terms, theoretically, mathematically, everything can be cracked, everything can be hacked. But in practical terms, it's unfeasible from economical point of view to have an attack of this scale.
Yeah.
Because you have to be in so many places.
Yeah.
In the same time, it's crazy in terms of resources. While when you attack centralized, it's a totally different approach.
Yeah. This is a good segue because we're talking about attacks, viruses, and you even said like cutting off a limb. I think this is a good way to transition to another misconception that decentralization is just for tech companies or just for like the tech people in general, where I think that we are able to say that decentralization can be used in various domains and various directions. Like healthcare, I know that is a very big one, but I want to hear more from you guys. Maybe Petrica, you have a chance to add to this. So basically the misconception that it's just for tech industry.
Definitely not for tech. It is tech in the
it is
end,
the tech,
because
yes, but
it's a technology by itself, but it's not about one industry or another. It can solve so many problems in so many industries. It's just how it is applied. And what's the economy, what's the code beside it that establishes a decentralized ecosystem within the parties. We've seen it in healthcare. We've seen it in financial institutions or businesses. We've seen it in
it can be used also in education in certain
certain
ways.
aspects, yeah, like a decentralized system for proving certain events and so on. It can be anything as long as it is well standardized and it's well coded, because it has to be trustless. And once it's well written, it establishes already a framework that works well, and you don't need to trust anybody, nor within the network itself, nor outside of the network, because the protocol itself is going to punish the entities that are trying to mess with the order of the code.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's not linked to an industry or another. It's just code doesn't have an industry. It's just code.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the beauty in a way of of a decentralized network, how it is a tool that can be
Used in many
used in
ways.
many different ways in many different environments, health and so on. Right. Okay. I think it is a good time to pivot towards the questions from the community, because we have some things to open up. I'll start with lighter things to warm us up. The first one came from Praveen. When listing on Tier 1 exchange?
This is a question we are getting
I know, but
maybe 10 times a day. So exchanges, to be honest, I've been in this space for a long time, and people appreciate listings just for pure hype. Nobody actually appreciates having a listing on a centralized exchange based on the fact that it opens a new gateway towards a product that has a utility token, for example, or a product that has a security token, for example. They just appreciate the big name behind
The
the centralized
notoriety
exchange.
of it, the notoriety
Yes,
of having
yes,
that
yes,
title.
and not the fact that it opens the gate towards more people being able to be onboarded. Uh, and this is sad, to be honest. I think it's sad because for a startup, for a business, having a play in this game of centralized exchange listings, it costs a lot. I mean, it can vary from tens of thousands of dollars just for a listing fee to millions just for a listing fee. And
Can I interrupt you a little bit?
yes,
Petrica, you have more, let's say, more experience than me in this. I mean, you have hands-on experience. I only have like, let's say, trading and let's say so-called investor experience. But on the other hand, the exchange itself, I'm trying to see the perspective from a different point than yours. The exchange itself can be a means to raise funding. And by raise funding, I mean, let's bear with me. Let's say that you list on a tier one exchange, right?
yeah,
And you have costs between, I don't know, between zero, uh, but it's not really zero. But let's suppose that on Coinbase it's zero, right? Let's suppose that on Coinbase the listing cost is zero, and on the most important exchange, the cost is 1 million. I'm
okay,
not giving names, right?
okay,
So 0 from 1 million. What if so you have to pay 1 million to get listed,
yeah,
right? So at the end of the day, the game is like this. You pay 1 million, you get listed, you put on that exchange the tokens that actually have been minted by yourself. They just have been minted out of thin air. It's like a stock, like on an equity market, like a stock, right? That has a IPO value, right?
yeah, yeah,
But it's less than that, of course. So you put, let's say, 5 millions tokens on that exchange, and uh, they get sold for $2 a token. So you get, I don't know, 10 millions out of this listing. Yeah, I'm just giving you a very simplified version of the mathematical
okay,
equation, right? So
okay,
it is very simplified mathematical equation. You paid 1 million, you brought 5 million tokens, you got 10 millions from the market for your 5 million tokens. Maybe you split those 10 millions with the exchange, with the fees, with whatever. And at the end of the day, maybe when you cross the line, when you make the balance, you get like 3 million in your pocket, deducting as well the million that you paid for the listing, all the costs. So at the end of the day, you get 2 million, 3 million, I don't know, something like that, right? So this is like an ideal equation. So in this equation, you raised the money by listing on a checks, right?
Yeah.
But and this is nice. This is interesting. Like you raised money and now you can start building. Maybe some people don't start building; they buy cars and they go to mansions. But I'm talking about us, right?
Yeah.
So we can take that money and start building more and have greater adoption and start doing our grants and start doing our hackathons and start doing our very large projects and growing our compute base and bringing even free nodes, community nodes, and so on, right? But at the end of the day, in this ideal case, this is an ideal case. This is totally different than what you explained, Petrica, when you said that you need to pay a lot of money. Let's suppose that the money that you get back from selling your tokens, your minted tokens, are 10 times more from the money that you paid for the listing. And after everything, you get like 3-4 times than you paid for the listing. But at the end of the day, where those money come from? Those money come from people who paid cash, fiat money, real money, right? For tokens that have been minted out of thin air. So they paid money for tokens, for cryptographic tokens that basically, unless they move things in real world, they have value or have only a speculative value. So basically, you made money from the people that are betting that your token will increase over that $2, let's say. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the real question
30 seconds, we need to move on. Just saying.
So 10 seconds. So the real question is, do we want to have this kind of profiting on the backs of people who just pay tokens? Because don't forget, our company didn't sell one single token. We didn't sell one single token. Everything we did was to fuel the decentralized exchange. We didn't sell one single token for salaries or for anything else.
Correct. Good. All right, and I think it's time to bring out Infinity's questions, and I'll read it as it was sent. Does Ratio1 relies on any of the blockchain layer 1 of any of its usage / functionality, etc.?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, we rely on layer 2 on base L2, which itself relies on Ethereum layer 1, and basically everything we do, everything is immutably traced, logged, saved on blockchain, everything. So don't forget that our Oracle network, the Oracle themselves work as agents that have their own wallets, and each individual Oracle have their own money, have their own Ethereum, and they pay the Ethereum network in order to execute smart contracts and distribute funds and secure the network and everything. And everything is automatic. So yes, 100%.
All right, excellent. With a follow-up question from Infinity as well. Also, was Ratio1 vulnerable to recent JavaScript npm package compromise? If no, then why?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So first of all, Ratio1 itself cannot be vulnerable to the npm compromise. However, applications that run on top of Ratio1 can be vulnerable.
Because anybody writes their application in their own way. Anybody creates their own set of rules for their application and their own dependencies. They just run an application in an enclosed container, and it's their responsibility in the end to have their application written with good dependencies, up-to-date dependencies, and dependencies that are not vulnerable.
Yeah. All right. That was almost all the questions. We have just one more, although I'll keep it just for a little while because it's a short one and it's a good end of episode question. We will pivot a little bit back to the misconceptions on decentralization. So it stands like this: decentralization doesn't scale well. This is a misconception. If a company or a project wants to grow really big, does that make it harder to stay decentralized?
Yes, it's harder to stay decentralized if you are going the classic way or being permissionless, because enterprise will not adopt a permissionless approach. This is my personal point of view. I don't know, Petrica, if you want to step in. I'm pretty sure you also want to complete something for the centralized exchange. I had the feeling that you wanted to add something more.
That's a discussion, and that's a fire from the past. I think just itself, it's a discussion just by itself, because I mean, being in the industry and seeing how everything works, from centralized exchanges, from payment providers and their fees, from market makers and their fees, and you understand that you want to have sustainable token economy, uh, having in the background all these fees that eat value from your token, that's not sustainable at all. So from my point of view, the best approach is having a decentralized listing for your token. And
Who pays the fees, Petrica?
who pays the fees for
Who pays those fees at the end of the day?
in the end, the users pays the fees.
Exactly.
So
The user or the actual holder slash speculator slash trader slash.
yes. The users, when I say users, it's holders, node operators, everybody that is within the ecosystem. Okay, it can look nice, it can get attention and everything, but in the end, all the costs out of this, it's paid by the holders, by the users. So it's not sustainable at all unless you have a sustainable economy already. You have a great adoption, and it works paying a fee to have even more exposure, or easing the experience of onboarding in the protocol, and the other way around. So in the beginning, I mean, in the first years of a project, it doesn't make sense. I will give you just an example. Okay, we talked about the millions and the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands just to pay a fee for the listing, but then you need a market maker. That's adding up between 4 and 10K per month, which I think it's better to even deploy jobs for those money in the protocol and pay some node operators, and result in some more burns.
Real value, you mean?
Yes, locking more value in the protocol than real value in the protocol, than just throwing money on the window in such early days of a project.
Yeah.
And going back to the Mihai's question, what was the question again? I think it was
about decentralization doesn't scale well. That was the original.
Decentralization doesn't scale well. That depends on the participants. I mean, and also not only on participants, it depends on, again, code and how the protocol rules have been written. Because okay, you can have a decentralized network, and at one point in time somebody gets the whole nodes, or if you have a decentralized network and the early days of the protocol already have been developed in a way that somebody took a lot of the protocol by themselves. So it's important to have a granular step-by-step growth of the decentralization, and do it with a good uh, I would say infrastructure and set of rules. As we try with our ethos at Ratio1 to have it everything not based on hype and going step by step and growing based on demand, and trying to get as many actors in the ecosystem, and grow the number of node operators, grow the number of cloud service providers. In the end up, it will also translate into a better governance of the pricing of the protocol and so on. So it has to be done well if you want to scale well. So it's not about if it grows, it's not decentralized, or uh, I mean, it's important how it's done.
Yeah. All right. And because we have only a few more minutes to go, really quickly, the last question, it comes from Praveen again, and it's, what's cooking? Do you have any anything to tease or to share live?
Decentralized models learning.
Okay.
I want them
Petrica,
more.
poker face.
I would say something for the first time. This is, to be honest, this is an alpha, and I think I can already test if people are watching the video or not. It's already live. It's on Ratio1. It's on base mainnet. If you go through three as the number three send dot xyz, you will see one of the first applications running on Ratio1, which is actually burning tokens when you send peer-to-peer encrypted files from one wallet to another for now, and in the future, wallet to emails, email to wallet, and so on. And it's fully available, fully working. You get free file transfers every month, and if you go over the threshold, you will need to pay the burn
But
for.
this is way more than an alpha. This is an actual presentation of the.
I'm not going to say more, but I'm really curious if somebody watches the video, if they will actually go and test it.
Okay.
It will soon be announced publicly.
Excellent.
It's an alpha, Andrei.
And maybe we'll even have an entire episode where we
definitely
discuss about this, because it's worth branching out on it as well. But I think this is where our episode will come to an end. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. As always, we are expecting more questions like these. These were very, very good, so we encourage them. Make sure to write them in the comments of the video on YouTube or on our Telegram group or everywhere. We are always excited to get more of these. So thank you everyone so much, and we'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, man. See you next time. Bye bye.